How's it going, fish fam? Those of y'all new to the channel here, my name's Austin and this is Fintastic Freaks. And once again, folks, we are in the fish room. Throughout my many aquariums that I have down here, especially if you watched my recent fish room tour video, you will know that one of my favorite fish to keep in this hobby is puffers, especially the freshwater ones, but I also keep some brackish water species, which today is going to be the center point of our video. The green spotted puffer quickly became one of my favorites. It's probably on my top 5 of all the puffers out there in terms of puffer species to keep. Today, guys, here is my green spotted puffer care guide. So the green spotted puffer, known by some other names such as the spotted puffer, and if you look at them, well, I'm pretty sure you can figure out why. They're also named a leopard puffer commonly, and of course there's their scientific name, which I'll display down below. I will not even try to pronounce that because I will butcher it like no tomorrow. But the green spotted puffer is native to different parts of East and Southeast Asia, specifically around the Philippines and Indochina is where they are most commonly found. Which of course is also partially what kind of goes into their debate between freshwater and brackish water, which we'll get to here later on. The green spotted puffer is also a puffer that likes to have a decent sized footprint. They're a puffer that likes to swim all around, unlike some others. These guys will sometimes still wallow in the sand, but mostly this is what they do. They kind of swim around and zip around, and they like to explore. Hence why they have a pirate ship in here. I think they like to play pirates sometimes. Arrgh. This is a puffer that can reach up to about 6 inches or so before their growth spurt is done. So that's another reason why they do demand a slightly bigger tank, because 6 inches isn't huge, but when you think about getting a group of at least 4, and I would not do less than 4 if you're thinking about a group, that's my personal recommendation. Hence, I would say if you're going to do 4 or 5 like what I do, I would do nothing smaller than a 40-gallon breeder. You could probably also do a 55 or a 60 breeder, something along that line perhaps, if you did a similar number to what I have here. The key thing basically is just to give them a decent sized footprint to where they're not going to get too bored, because this is an intelligent fish that likes to explore, gets very curious, and if they have too small of an enclosed space, they're going to get bored easily, and obviously that just leads to a lesser quality of life. Before anyone asks, yes, you can keep these by themselves. However, I have definitely learned that with this puffer, this is one that, for better results, likes to live in groups. I mean, as you can just see right there, they just kind of chill by each other. No one's nipping at each other. This is how they feel the most comfortable in little groups, or they're called shoals scientifically. And honestly, it's just better that way too. I've just seen all of them zip around there. I mean, sure, you could put just one and say maybe like a 20-gallon long or something, but I think it's way cooler to just have something like a 40 breeder or a 55 and get at least a group of 4 or 5 of them and just watch them do their thing. This is a fish that, while mine for the most part get along pretty well, they have been a little notorious to occasionally be fin nippy. Hence also why people that keep these puffers are a bit leery, or at the very least cautious, of keeping tank mates and such. While it is definitely not impossible to keep tank mates with these guys, this is one of the other puffers out there that I would definitely recommend is better off kept as a species only tank. However, if you are absolutely set on trying to have tank mates with these puffers, my main bit of advice would be to have a sleek torpedo shaped like fish that can swim very fast and get away from the puffer if they ever get temperamental. Obviously, while puffers, not the slowest fish out there, definitely not one of the faster ones either. Like if you have something that's more sleek and maybe smaller as well, that can get away and maybe even fit in places that the puffer cannot reach, then you increase your chances of having tank mates work out with these guys. In terms of some basic water parameters outside of the freshwater or brackish water debate, which we'll get to here later on, in terms of hardness or softness, they're not overly picky. If anything, they do slightly prefer harder water conditions and such. That just seems to help them get a little bit better coloration and all that, but again, it's not too huge of a deal with these guys. One of the main things though, you do want to make sure the nitrites, nitrates, and ammonia does stay in check, as like a lot of other puffers. Green spotted puffers are a scaleless fish, hence they are a little more susceptible to certain parasites and diseases and such. Even if they are in brackish or freshwater, it is still something you want to keep an eye on. These guys are also another tropical water fish. They like their temperature in the higher 70s to lower 80s. I keep mine right around 78 to 80 degrees is about where I keep their tank, and as you can see, their coloration is looking pretty solid, and they're very active and such. They're also wondering when they're going to get food here, which brings us up to the diet part of these guys. Like a lot of other puffers out there, green-spotted puffers are another one that have those continuously growing teeth, hence giving them plenty of snails, crustaceans like shrimp, little crabs and such will help grind down their continuously growing teeth and help them to where they won't run into certain health problems or even mouth problems to where their teeth get so large that they can't even open their mouths right, if at all, which can cause problems for them in their ability to eat, which it doesn't need to be much more explained to why that would be a bad deal. As a keeper of a lot of puffers out there, I never get tired of seeing my puffers take down some snails and just hearing and seeing the power of their bite and such. However, with these guys especially, it can also be fun to feed them some meaty foods like bloodworms, in which I listed off earlier, as well as some other forms of shrimp. Don't believe me? Well, let me show you. Our 5 green-spotted puffers are all towards the top because they know now it's time for dinner, and they are very eager to get their teeth on these bloodworms. So let's not keep them waiting. As you can see, they waste no time attacking that thing, and I think that is so cool to watch. It's also funny to try to see each one of them try to get away with a lot of it and try to get away a big chunk, but in the end they all usually get about the same share as they shred the thing about. After they break down the big parts, they all chase down the little bits as you see them now, getting the last few worms that are floating about the tank here. They're usually gone within about a minute or two here. They don't last very long. And this is how you know when your puffers are well fed. They're looking nice, plump and round. That's a sign that they're happy, healthy, and full of a good meal. But one of the major things here yet that we didn't talk about earlier with water parameters, of course, is the great debate. Is the green-spotted pufferfish a freshwater puffer or a brackish water puffer? Well, the short answer is technically both. The longer answer, and by that I mean the more detailed answer, is obviously well, a little complicated, but here it is. For the green-spotted puffer specifically, the reason why they go through both is because as juveniles, they spend most of their time in fresh water, whereas the adults spend most of the time in the wild in brackish water, unless, of course, it's time to spawn, which in such case, when adult green-spotted puffers are ready to spawn or scatter eggs about, they'll migrate over to the freshwater conditions and lay their eggs over there. Of course, as the eggs are laid over there, they are eventually raised up, and the juvenile fish stay over in the freshwater conditions for a while until they're old enough and mosey over to the brackish conditions like the rest of the older puffers until they decide to go and spawn eggs themselves, which then they will return to the freshwater parameters. The fact that these fish go back and forth through the freshwater and brackish water, thus have evolved to be able to tolerate such conditions, is exactly why technically you can say this fish lives in both fresh and brackish water.
My brain hurts!
With all that said though, I will say with green-spotted puffers, for the best results as they get older, after about the first year and a half where I kept mine, I moved them over into brackish water, and I can say ever since I've done so, they have been much more active. They grew a little bit more immediately right when I moved them over, and their color has looked much, much better. Though it didn't look all that bad in freshwater, that spotted pattern and the green on them overall has just looked way better ever since we made the move here to the brackish water aquarium. So yeah, it is a bit of a unique situation that these fish have in the wild. But overall, they're a unique fish, so it fits. While in the end, yes, green-spotted puffers may have some extra needs outside of what even other puffers may demand, this is still a great puffer with awesome coloration and personality that, if you play your cards right, can live, give or take, around 10 years. And that, guys, is my version of the green-spotted puffer care guide. I will say this, though, right here again. If you are seriously interested in getting this fish, I highly recommend you check out other sources as well. Don't just listen to me. I'm just one guy. Make sure you also go to other sites like on Google, maybe even watch some other videos if you prefer that. I would say for puffers, especially the green-spotted puffers, make sure you go and check out about 3 different sources to, make sure you collect as much information, because when it comes to taking care of our aquatic pets like these, knowledge is power. But again, guys, that does it for this green-spotted puffer care guide. Let me know. Are you thinking about maybe getting some green spotted puffers yourself here soon? Let me know in the comments below if you like this little care guide. Of course, give it a thumbs up. It really helps out the channel here, as well as if you click that subscribe button if you haven't already. And then while you're at it, if you haven't already, click that little bell at the side there to keep in the loop with everything I do here. Little care guide videos such as this. Got some fish room projects coming up here soon. Got some conventions coming up here in October. Really excited to show you those as well there when they come to fruition. A lot of things here coming up soon. As always, guys, thank you so much for all the support and watching this video. I greatly appreciate every single one of y'all. I will see you all in the next video, Fish Fam. As always, stay fantastic.